So another business that's more on the value side would be a business like Unilever, right? So you're like, Trav, what the Unilever? What is that business? Well, have you ever heard of Dove soap? What about Lipton tea? What about Pure Leaf, right? What about Clear? What about Vaseline? What about Q-tips? What about Noxzema, right? What about Klondike bars, right? All of these businesses fall under the brand Unilever, right? So Unilever is a brand that has a huge market share, right? So market share is when you look at a business and you say, okay, what section of the market does this business own? Well, Unilever is all over. It's a great consumer business, right? They have over 1,000 brands and over 2 million people use their brand daily. Let's back that up. Let's really understand how huge that is. They have over 1,000 brands, right? They have over 1,000 brands that fall under their name. We just talked about some of them: Dove, Lipton, Pure Leaf, Klondike, Noxzema, Vaseline. Oh man, the list goes on, right? Clear. So many things fall under the Unilever brand that we didn't even know. Ben & Jerry's, right? They all over. So now that means when you go in the store, you have it's a high percentage rate of you buying one of their brands, right? It's a high percentage rate. So they mean they have a huge market share, right? But the next thing we got to understand is this. Not only do they have over 1,000 brands that fall under their brand name, but they also have not only that, but they also have 2 million, right? 2 million people use their brand on a day-to-day basis, right? 2 million people use their brand on a day-to-day basis. That's huge, right? So I'm just using these as an example of saying, when we looking at a growth business and we looking at a value-based business. So Unilever wouldn't be a growth business because there isn't much growth there, but they're a staple, but they do have value, right? And so these are the difference in how we go from growth and how we go to value. So now we just dig a little deeper and say, what are 3 huge components when it comes to investing in a business? So 3 huge components that we look for investing in a business is sales, earnings, and debt, right? Sales, what a business is selling, right? Sales, earnings, what is a business making, and debt. How much debt does a business actually have, right? And so when we're looking at debt, we ask ourselves that almost every business will have some form of debt. There's only a few businesses. So for me, myself personally, I love to do my research and find businesses that have no debt. Why? Because a business with no debt can't go bankrupt. You feel what I'm saying? A business with no debt cannot go bankrupt. And any business that can't go bankrupt is a business that has a great management team, and it's a business that has a great profit margin. It's a business that is doing a great job at marketing and branding, right? So I love businesses that have no debt or little to no debt. And some of those businesses that I bought was Chipotle. Lululemon was another great business that I bought. Another business that I bought with no debt was Five Below. Those are 3 amazing businesses. Facebook is a business that I do own. I know that Facebook is a controversial business, but for me, the reason why I got into Facebook, and I waited a long time to get into Facebook, was because I understood, one, the market share that they had. I understood the way that Facebook bullied their way around the market. So for me, I'm gonna just be real. I'm cool with certain things, and some things I'm not cool with. I do have to be able to understand the business fully, but those are 4 businesses that I own that actually have 0 debt and are great businesses, and I also got them at a great price. It's a huge component for me is being able to buy any business that I want to own at the price that I feel the business is worth, right? That is a huge component for me. I told people about Apple, and I told people that if you look at Apple's market cap is $2 trillion. But after doing my evaluations on Apple, the business is worth actually $1.6 trillion. So because I know the business is worth $1.6 trillion, now I say, okay, I figure out what stock price will give me $1.6 trillion for the overall business. And now, boom, that is the price that I will now pay for Apple to get it at the exact price that I want, right? So that's important for us. But let's talk about sales, earnings, and debt. Right, so sales is whatever the business does in product and service wise that it generates sales, right? They're selling. We already know that. This is important. So one of the things we always want to see with a business is we want to see a business is increasing sales and revenue, right? So revenue is the money that's coming in to a business. We always want to see that increasing, right? But what we do want to know is this: revenue doesn't actually equate to earnings, right? So just because a business is steadily increasing its revenue doesn't mean that the business is increasing its earnings. So we now got to double back and ask ourselves, is the business increasing earnings as well, right? So we want to see increase in sales, increase in revenue, and also we want to see an increase in earnings. So if we see these things increasing, then now we looking at something like, okay, this can be a move, this can be a play for us, right? Especially if earnings is increasing, right? So another thing that I want to say is it's about debt. So when it comes to debt, for me, I do like businesses that don't have debt. But one of the things I will really like tap into is how did the business acquire the debt? Right, so that's important for us when we're looking at that. How did the business acquire the debt? Right, because debt doesn't come out of nowhere. Not only do we want to know how did the business acquire the debt, we want to know, is the business actually paying down the debt, or can the business service the debt? That's important for us as well, right? How can the business service the debt? And another thing that I look at when it comes to debt as well is how can a business, even if it can't service the entire debt, can the business service the interest payments on the debt? And that's called the interest expense, right? It's crazy when you think about it. It's just a dude from a trap, and I damn near sound like an accountant or a finance major, right? But it's just for us to understand that this is not a hard game for us to play, right? It's not a hard game at all for us to play. It's a game that we definitely should be playing. It's not hard for us to play, and it's not hard for us to build wealth over the long term. We just have to consistently get in the game. And that's how we put ourselves in the mindset. So for me, it's mastering the game, right? I feel like if I can get out here and do these other things, then there's no way that I couldn't play this game. There's no way that I couldn't be successful at this game, right? And so one of the things that we have to get into our minds is that, like, there will be volatility in the market. There will be ups and downs in the market, but we do have to understand that the market goes up way more than it goes down. But when it goes down, listen, we gotta have our big boy, big girl drawers on, because it's gonna test you. The game gonna always test you. The game gonna see if what you really want to be great at, if you really want to be a great investor, the game gonna test you to see if it's in you to be a great investor. So I will say that if we play this game for the long run, we play this game to build wealth, then that's one of the games. So a lot of people gonna talk about call options, put options, things of that nature. I don't advise anybody to even play that game if you haven't got into long-term investing, right? Because I don't care who it is, right? I'm gonna be real with you. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is that's investing. They will lose money in trading. I don't care who it is. You feel me? Because you can't time the market. You can't predict the market. All you can do is put together research, right, and say this is going to happen. But overall, the market is based off people's emotions, right? That's who's on the other side of the market, right? That's who's on the other side of the market. I don't care what kind of options you playing. I can guarantee you won't show me one person who's played the options game for 6 months to a year who hasn't lost money, right? But no one will tell you about the losses. But I've showed my people a while back, and I was playing long-term options, how I lost $6, $8, $19,000, $12,000, $15,000, right? And you gotta have the guts and the wherewithal to say, I'm sticking to my systems, right? I'm sticking to my guns. I'm playing this game how I'm supposed to be played. And even if I'm sticking to my guns and I lose, then I'm okay with that because I know what got me here. Right, and that's what I want people to understand. I don't care what it is, trading. I don't care if it's swing trading, options. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's 60 years out, right? I don't care if it's 50 years out, right? You can't predict what the market is gonna do, right? And so you just gotta have the gall and the wherewithal to say, I'm gonna stick it out. Most people want to get into options and swing trading and all the other trades because they're trying to make money. I can guarantee you that that's not the way to jump in the market, right? And so I want us to just understand that. I want us to understand that that's just a part of the game. I don't discourage it at all, right? I don't discourage it at all. That's right. Long terms are safer, but they're still scary because you can't predict the market. I'm not saying not to do it, but what I'm saying is before you even get into thinking about options trading or swing trading or day trading, you need to learn how to be a great long-term investor. If you don't understand the fundamentals of a business, right? If you don't understand that, you shouldn't even be thinking about options trading, swing trading, or day trading, or futures trading. I know some great people that teach all of those things, but what they can't teach you, right? What they can't teach you is emotional strength, emotional fortitude. They can't pull the trigger for you. I don't care if I don't care if somebody tell you buy at this price and sell at this price. Well, it's different. Once you press the button, it's all you. It's all you. And then that's where it comes in at. You gotta be there. You gotta stand there. I don't care how much studying and all of that. Emotional fortitude is something that no one can teach you. That comes from being in a game. And that comes from taking L's, yo. Right? That comes from taking L's. I'm telling you, I did $157,000 in 5 weeks. And I come back in 2 weeks before and lost 60. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. So, it's all love on me because I just play how the game go and I just keep learning and I keep building and I keep striving, right? And I keep learning from every mistake and everything. But I'm just telling you that emotional toughness is something nobody can teach you. I don't care if it's free. I don't care if it's paid for. I don't care what it is. That's the part of the game nobody can teach you. You got to do that. And until you learn how to invest, until you learn how to understand and read a business, I don't care until you learn how to understand, is the company's earnings growing? Is the company declining? Until you understand these basic fundamental strategies and know them, you shouldn't even think about trading, yo. Like, I'm just being 100% real with you because this game will eat you alive. I don't care. The game don't got no emotions. It don't got no feelings. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, because I know the way what I teach is not the sexiest thing out there in the market, right? It's not the sexiest thing, but I can guarantee you over the long term, man, it's the greatest game you can play. Right? It's the greatest game you can play. Why is it the greatest game you can play? Because how many of you all can actually say, I'm going to just sit in front of the computer and just watch where my stocks going? Right? Because you got other stuff that you're doing. Right? So a lot of you don't even have time to do that with everything going on in your life. So what happens with this game is the game that I'm teaching y'all to play, and it's a real life game. Right? And for me, it's like, it don't gotta be sexy, but it's amazing to me because for me, I get to literally sit down and watch these businesses double, quadruple my wealth for me over the long term. right? I don't gotta do nothing. I put my money there and I let these billionaires, these Harvard graduates, these Stanford Business School graduates, I let them build my wealth for me. I let them continuously create new products for me. I let them market and brand for me. I let them do that for me, and I just keep putting my money in there and letting that money build for me and letting that money build for my generations after me. That's what I'm doing. This is a beautiful game for me to play. You know what I'm saying? It's exciting to me when I see, a business that I own, not trade, but a business that I own. I walked out my crib the other day, and y'all know I love to see waste management. I don't know why, but I own over 150 shares of that business now. So whenever time I see them green and yellow dumpsters and everybody see trash, I see a whole lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I see a whole lot of money. I see 10 years of increased dividend payments right there. I see my dividends getting reinvested. So I literally see those trash men and be like, yo, what's good, family? They be like, I'm like, man, good job. Keep up the good work. You feel me? And they don't know what I'm talking about. In my mind, I'm saying, y'all building my wealth for me. Keep it up, man. Y'all need something to drink? You know what I'm saying? So that's the beautiful thing about this game to me, right? Every time I know, I order something off Amazon or I see people running, I can't stop getting on Amazon. I'm like, yeah, keep building my money for me, right? I love it, right? So that's the purpose and that's the enjoyment for me, right? And the risk now, when I play the game in that way, when you play the game from that component, you literally take the risk out of the game, right? You take the risk out of the game, because the thing about life is, where do you put leverage at? For me, I want all the leverage I can. So if I'm not worrying about a stock price going up and down today or tomorrow, then I took the leverage out. I took the leverage and put it in my favor. I'm all about putting the leverage in my favor, and I'm taking the leverage from the game. Right, I'm taking the leverage from the house. Like when you go to the casino, the leverage is in the casino's hand. How do you take the leverage from the casino? Right, and so that's what I'm teaching us. That's the game I'm giving us. It's how do we take the leverage? How do we get it back? You feel what I'm saying? And over the long term, we get it back. When we buy a great business, at a beautiful price, we've now put the leverage in our hand. We reinvest those dividends. We put that leverage in our favor. And that's what I want us to learn. That's what I want us to do, right? It's now the greatest wealth transfer of all time. $16 trillion will be transferred within the next 20 years. I ask you this one beautiful question, my people. I ask you, where are you in line on that wealth transfer? $16 trillion will be transferred within the next 20 to 25 years. I ask you this question, my beautiful people. Where are you in line on that wealth transfer? And if you aren't in line in that transfer, now is the greatest time ever for you to get in line and start making those things happen. Now is the time for us to become great investors. Now is the time for us to start building generational wealth. Now is the time for us to start putting our kids and our kids' kids in the line to now be a part of that. Just a beautiful thing happened to me today, man. I was able to I got on the phone today, and my life insurance policies came through, and I'm like, damn, like I'm probably the first person in my family to have this type of numbers on my life insurance. So what I did was I called and went to put, like, what's your social security number? What's your social security number? What's your name? So I can put y'all on my policy, right? And not saying I'm preparing for debt or nothing, but I'm just saying this is a business transaction. These policies put me in position, right, to add on to the legacy and wealth to my family. Right? I'm not looking at it as I'm planning my debt. I'm looking at it as how I put my people and family in position to thrive after I'm gone.